Hello everyone and welcome back to a best-of-3 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Protoss. Oh, I was gonna say, did he really start the 11 SCVs? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Today it's time for a Terran versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Stargazers. I'm playing here with the red SCVs from South Korea. We have a previous world champion of StarCraft 2, and his name is ByuN. His opponent, in the top left. Playing here with the blue Protoss pieces from Denmark, we are looking at MaxPax's main Nexus. Now, I figured that this would be an interesting series because both of these players like to get very aggressive. Really, ByuN. Oh my god, okay. ByuN is going for the most obvious Proxy Barracks location in the world, but it's so obvious that there's actually a chance that MaxPax is not gonna see it. Because this is one of those locations that you're normally not gonna check. Maybe you'll check down here, maybe you'll check down here, maybe you'll, peek over there at your fourth base, but MaxPax is gonna opt to just send that probe straight across the map. At the very least, he'll see that something is missing right here on top of the ramp, but honestly, against someone like ByuN, that doesn't really tell you very much. He could be proxying it, well, quote-unquote proxying it right over here just to make you freak out, but this is probably the most aggressive location, other than like, literally put... Actually, over here is probably better than over here, right? Because the Reaper can obviously jump up. Anyhow, this will be spotted very shortly. I believe? No? Huh. You know what? This is actually kind of a brilliant spot. He could even build a bunker over there. This is so silly. I have not seen that before. That's hilarious. Alright. ByuN found a nice little nuke over there for him to go ahead and build whatever he likes. Now, he did send in an SCV into the main base as well. He's gonna go for a bunker, so at this point MaxPax should realize, right? He should put one and one together that something, is happening on his side of the map. Already though, I gotta love that tucked away position on that SCV that's building the bunker. He's using the structures right here of MaxPax against him, reducing the surface area that SCV has to be attacked from. So, ooh. Alright, you already got the Reaper nerfed once, ByuN. Actually, maybe twice. If you could show us again why that happened, that would be awesome! There you go. There you go. That had to be perfect, because otherwise, that couldn't work. This is one of the... Really. This is one of the most ridiculous cheeses, though, that I've seen in a while. It's very low commitment, too, right? This is not really something that... I mean, you obviously need to get damage done, but... Ooh, careful now, careful now, careful now. That Stalker might die. Alright, battery at the very least is done. Yeah, this is not necessarily something that needs to deal a ton of damage here. ByuN has obviously gone for the double gas at home. He's gone for the factory at home as well. He will need a command center, but he's going to be going for that one in the pocket base, it seems. Fair enough. Yeah, so as always, whenever you proxy a barracks, doesn't matter where the proxy is at, you can always make a factory at home. You don't need a pylon or, creep or any of that nasty stuff that the Protosses and the Zergs need, so... Terrans definitely at this level like to build at least some of their structures on the other side of the map, and I'm a big fan. Was that really worth it? Yeah, 5 probes, not bad at all. Not entirely sure why the SCV died for free. A little bit uncharacteristic. Now, I love that here from MaxPax. Yep. Closing this path off right here with a Stargate, so there's no way for those Reapers to retreat, and eventually those units do get killed. Alright. This does mean, of course, that ByuN is going to be the one who will probably continue being aggressive here because, well, if he's not, he's going to fall behind economically. He will finish up that command center eventually, but MaxPax has already had that Nexus up for a little while. He decides to actually go for a Phoenix first. Alright. Not bad at all. Yeah, so this particular series, it's from the ESL Open Cup North America 135. Always kind of cracks me up when we have a European going up against a Korean. In the ESL Open Cup North America. It just dictates the server that the games are being played on. So I guess for Europeans and Koreans alike, the, ping is going to be pretty bad. But normally whenever it's Europe versus Korea, they will play on NA West, NA Central, usually alternating between the two maps, in between the server. Now, I'm not entirely sure why ByuN didn't fly the command center over first. I think that is a little bit more optimal, ByuN, because there's quite a lot of lost mining time over here. Anyhow, we've got a battle happening here in the center of the map. Stalker gets picked off for pretty much free, it seems. Third Nexus, though, has already started up. It's not deterring MaxPax here from just rapidly expanding. MaxPax right now, by the way, as of me making this video, I haven't featured him too much lately, but he's currently considered to be the rank 9 in the world overall. Now, obviously, you gotta take that with a grain of salt, because Mr. MaxPax has yet to make an offline tournament appearance. We know that he's probably Danish, but that's really all we know about MaxPax, which is kind of funny. Well, we've heard a couple of interviews that he's done, I guess. He's done some audio interviews, and he definitely has a Scandinavian accent, I suppose. So there's a good chance that he is at the very... But maybe he's a Danish prince, right? We don't know. Could be. Could be anyone. But yeah, he hasn't actually gone to an offline tournament. ByuN, as we're making this video right now, the rank 6 in the world. You, of course, won BlizzCon quite a few years ago at this point. I was sitting there in the audience, absolutely losing my mind over that man microing his units. It hits differently. If you've never gone to an offline StarCraft tournament before, I highly recommend it, especially if you have like a very big one, right? Like, for example, Katowice or anything with like a... Well, BlizzCon is usually at a stadium. Or at least, you know, it used to be. It hits differently. Yeah, it hits differently when you have thousands of people shouting about the game as well. It's a little bit different than watching from the comfort of your own home or wherever you like to watch these videos. I'm actually curious, where do you watch this video right now? Where are you watching this? Are you watching this at home? You're watching it on your phone? Are you secretly watching it at work? Oh no. Do you have me hidden in a tab somewhere while pretending to get work done? Interesting decision. Going after the Marines. Looks like one of the... Oh, no, never mind. Just barely losing the lock on there. Anyhow. MaxPax is gonna go for the classic, right? So, Phoenix is into Colossus. Super popular opener. You are technically in a vulnerable spot until the Colossi are out. But obviously, the Phoenixes are really good at keeping the Terran player pinned back. Because the problem is, as soon as you leave the main base... Those Phoenixes are gonna fly in and they will be very annoying. They can lift up siege tanks, they can get rid of cyclones, they can kill SCVs, and they can still make it back home in time as well. The Raven obviously is also not safe, so usually you buy yourself quite a bit of time when you go for this Phoenix start. The only problem with Phoenixes is that they require a lot of micro. So they definitely reward really good players. Oh my god, like I said, really good players. Very easy to accidentally lose these units as well, because you do have to dive quite deep. Anyhow. Third command center hasn't been acquired right now for ByuN as well. Who's gonna, after a very aggressive start, he's gonna sit back and relax a little bit, right? He's going for the 1-1 upgrades. I don't really think we're gonna see him spring into action too much until those 1-1 upgrades are done. I say that, okay. Never mind, it's ByuN. Normally Terrans would be waiting until some of those upgrades are done. I mean, combat shields is not finished yet. I guess we have Stimpec, so ByuN is like, well, Stimpec is here, boys, let's go. Alright, well, there's also a Colossus. There's also battery overcharge. There's good, well, yeah, there's a second Colossus right now, as well as the extended thermal lens in about 20 seconds. If ByuN moves out right now, I've got a feeling he's gonna get absolutely destroyed. He does have interference matrices on the Raven, so that's something, but... If he fights within battery range, I think he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. Alright, well, I guess we're gonna find out. There's one interference matrix. Good set of force fields there. There's no way. Like, MaxPax is not gonna leave his battery alone. He did pop the, the super battery rather early, I suppose, but doesn't really matter all too much. Alright, third Colossus is gonna be out. This is kind of what Mr. ByuN likes to do, right? He roams the map a lot, and even if it seems like a questionable decision, he didn't really commit. It's just like the... factory coming up in the early game, right? You just need to have a barracks out there. ByuN could be sitting with his army at home, but he could also just be proxying his army. I mean, that's maybe a bit of a weird way to put it, but he doesn't necessarily need to be sitting there at home looking pretty. Anyhow, this army here from MaxPax is getting quite a bit more powerful, but ByuN does obviously have that nice supply lead at this point in the game. He's transitioning right now towards the Ghosts as well. There's another Nexus coming up, so MaxPax apparently has been practicing his macro builds quite a bit. Let's see. Okay, Phoenix gets picked off. Or sorry, Raven right there gets picked off by the Phoenixes. Very nicely done. Good zoning right there, though, from ByuN. He's gonna get the kill right there on that Nexus. But it's gonna come at the cost of, a couple of those other units here as well. At least one siege tank goes down. And honestly, this Terran army looks a little bit flimsy. Yeah, if MaxPax could force an engagement right now, he would definitely like to. In the meantime, there were a couple of zealots that made it towards the other side of the map, flying in that prism. ByuN, you really need to get out of there, man. I'm a little afraid of the Colossi just shooting lasers 3 times when you're not paying attention and the entire army just gets roasted. Alright. Anyhow, in the meantime, that base is being reacquired. Zealots coming in from the, from the back as well, so good setup there from MaxPax. Couple of snipes going down. Is he gonna push the issue? Probably not, right? Nah, there's another Colossus coming up. He's re-secured that base. Economically speaking right now, though, ByuN is looking pretty sweet. He didn't have the best start in this game, but I think as soon as those mules are updated here, things are looking quite a bit nicer right here for the Terran player, because he's got, definitely a good amount of income coming in right now compared to his opponent. Second robo facility coming up. Alright. +2/+2 finally starts up, actually. That's super late. Wasn't quite paying attention. If you're gonna forget one of the upgrades, I mean, you'd rather not forget either of them, but if you can only afford one of the 2 Terran upgrades for your infantry, you should always be getting the attack upgrade. Yeah, I've seen players do that before. The attack upgrade is just so much more useful, just because those Marines and Marauders, especially the Marines, they shoot rather quickly. And because of that, well, obviously the attack upgrade will trigger a little bit more frequently. The armor upgrade allows them to stay alive for longer, but who cares about that? I don't really care about that sort of thing. Alright. MaxPax here with his War Prism does spot, that there's a command center building over here. This normally isn't much of an issue for Terrans, but ByuN likes to have his units on the other side of the map. Looks like a couple of the reinforcements, though, have shown up. Prism is going to be able to, at the very least, get on out of there for now, despite the Colossi. But since ByuN is not really respecting the Colossi that much, because of the Colossi. The Vikings, I mean, right? Anyways, at this point, ByuN doesn't really have much of a counter right there against the Colossi, right? Like, normally we see at least some additional Vikings coming up. This was a very quick transition towards Ghosts. So most of the ground army here from Protoss will get destroyed. Is there enough, though, for ByuN to just push through all of this? Looks like there will be. In the meantime, there's also a drop going on inside of the main base. Looks like that one will be cleaned up. There's disruptors coming up, too. Reinforcements here at the, what is this? The 4th nexus of MaxPax are going to be able to keep that alive. Alright. In the end, though, I do believe that ByuN got the upper end out of those engagements. Interestingly enough, MaxPax has not gone for the in-base expo yet. I talked about this in a previous cast as well, but sometimes you kind of forget about the in-base expo. Which is kind of funny because, well, it's right there, right? You can literally access it right at the very beginning of the game, but it can sometimes be easy to accidentally forget. One disruptor gets killed for free, another disruptor is dorched, another one does get killed as well. There's a 4th one, however. Also good splits against that one from ByuN. A couple of units end up going down. In the meantime, he's also dropping in the bottom left-hand corner. Prism going into the pocket base right now. Careful, don't fly it into the... Oh, God. Into the missile turret. Very dangerous. You can see that ByuN is really picking up the pace now. There are Dark Templar available here for the Protoss player from Denmark, so that is something. Threatening to go for a flyby into the pocket base, but decides otherwise. Alright. Does he decide otherwise, though? Bit of an anti-timing right now. I think that MaxPax probably saw those medevacs leave, so he sent on some of his army back into the main base. Alright, I think there should still be enough units coming up. ByuN purposefully delaying that. Still moving across the map, though. Taking a diagonal line through the mini-map. Sending everything he has. Microing over here as well. Man, ByuN is such a ridiculous player. Look at how fast he's playing as well. That's not what we normally see from Terran players. It's uncommon to see Zerg players, you know, sitting below 400 APM at this level, okay? But that's mostly because of repeat rates and all that. Terrans, believe it or not, don't really use rapid fire on Stimpack and all that. Technically, I've done it, okay? You can rapid fire Stimpack. It's not ideal. You can, it doesn't stack or anything, right? You can just, well, rapid fire your own Stimpack accidentally like 5 times and then your army has 1 health. Okay. Careful though, ByuN. Yeah, ByuN really going hard now. He still has to respect this Protoss ball. This is one bad disruptor hit away from still being a disaster, and obviously that doesn't really happen all too often when we were talking about Mr. ByuN, but he is walking into some of those balls. Yeah, not bad at all. Battery overcharge keeping a lot of those units alive as well. Reinforcing units are coming up on both sides. And MaxPax holds. That was an important hold. +3/+3 has started up for ByuN. +3 attack is also, I would say, about a third of the way done right here for MaxPax. No battery over here at this base anymore, but a lot of low HP Terran units, so I think that ByuN is going to be going home. Okay. This is the point of the game, or at the game rather, where... The point at the game? Sure, Lowko. This is the point where ByuN, either way, is adding on additional command centers, right? So, getting those additional command centers up and running is huge. Not only can he start threatening, well, for example, the golden base, right? So this is something that ByuN is checking for right now as well, but... Well, he can just take whatever expansion he likes, he can continuously scan, he can drop mules whenever he needs to. This is where ByuN is probably at his scariest. Nice popping right there of that disruptor as well, but the... Well, the next Purification Nova does connect, and so does the one that comes after that. He's now got the money here to transition towards Liberators as well, so that's the plan probably. At the very least, he's going for the Advanced Ballistics upgrade. Always nice to see those. That gives you additional range on the Liberators. And obviously, oh my god, really? I don't know, bro. He's thinking about going for a big drop. Not entirely sure if I'm the biggest fan of that. Yeah, this is still a Protoss army that packs a punch. ByuN has put a lot of money into those additional command centers that haven't really paid off yet. Is there enough here for the Terran player to push all of this back? This engagement, I don't think I like it all too much for the Korean Terran player. That being said, both players losing a tremendous amount of units here. My god, this is only game number 1 of the series. I love casting these two. Anyways. There's a Widow Mine here in the bottom left-hand corner being as annoying as possible. I think that was a pretty good trade right there for ByuN in the end, though, because obviously ByuN's income is looking a little bit healthier. These big Protoss units also need quite a bit of time to actually build. Although that being said, we can always make that transition towards just Stalkers and Zealots, right? We've seen that a lot over the last couple of months, and it seems to be mighty powerful these days. He's thinking of going for maybe the gold base here at the bottom of the map, but honestly, I don't know if there's enough time for that. MaxPax is being killed. Yeah. ByuN is outgrowing him at this point. If you look at the income, over the last 10 minutes, the Korean Terran here has been getting that income advantage. And he scans the bases over here. He's already checked the 6 o'clock position many times before, and I think he probably realizes what's happening here, because there were multiple probes mining in the bottom left-hand corner. And now suddenly there's quite a few less. Well, if he doesn't have alarm bells going off in his head already, he's gonna find out very soon, as he's trying to land his command center here on top of a Nexus that's already building. That can't happen, but at the very least it will give him the heads up that MaxPax is trying to go for his last desperation move. ByuN, once again maxed out. One hell of an army transitioning towards, towards Liberators as well. No reliable counter against those whatsoever, but okay, there was a large group of Dark Templar that went to town in the bottom right-hand corner, and they killed a command center as well as 14 SCVs. Not bad whatsoever here for MaxPax. I just wonder how he's going to deal with the main force. Command center at this point scouts out the Nexus. Liberator is going to deny mining here, so that's good. Okay. Are we going to see... Okay, we're not going to see a recall on those oracles. SGG is cold, and ByuN wins game number 1. Whew, alright. We can breathe again. Game number 2, it takes place on Moondance. Yeah, whenever ByuN starts picking up the pace, it's amazing to watch. It's almost as if he was saying, okay, you didn't die to my early game cheese. You didn't die to my timing attacks either. How do you feel about getting attacked in 2, 3, 4, 5 different angles all at once? And honestly, MaxPax did a great job. He took a couple of unfortunate trades, but he did a great job just defending all of the aggression from ByuN, even dealing some counter-attack damage on the other side of the map as well. I think that's probably where ByuN is at his scariest, right? So, if you've played a bunch of StarCraft 2 ladder, you probably know this feeling very well. When you go up against an opponent who's hitting you at multiple different angles, and you actually defend. You actually do a good job not losing a whole lot. However, then, when you glance over in the top right-hand corner, and you see your minerals and your gas, and you realize, wait a second, I haven't been macroing for like 2 minutes, that's when you actually fall behind. So, just defending everything is not, you know, the only thing you need to do. You also need to actually spend your money. But MaxPax was doing a great job managing everything at once, dealing with the drops and with the main pushes, microing his army well, dealing counterattack damage, and macroing on the back of it as well. MaxPax really has grown a lot as a player. So a couple of years ago, when MaxPax first came up, he was known as a rather cheesy player. But these days, I would say he's one of the, most well-rounded European Protosses. A lot of players kind of get stuck when they cheese a lot of their matches. So here's the thing, right? When you're playing ladder, you only need to know one build order for each of the matchups, because the chances of you facing off against the same opponent multiple times, they're not very big. However, if you want to win tournaments, you need to know a variety of strategies. And while you can definitely win some of the minor tournaments, playing, cheese, I guess, when you're facing off against some of the best players in the world, when you start facing off against, like, the top 25 on the planet, you're not going to win against Cyril cheesing 3 times in a row in a best-of-5 series. It's not going to happen. So you need to broaden your horizons, right? And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. I've seen that many times as well. I've done a lot of StarCraft 2 coaching over the years, and I've coached a lot of people that, for example, make it into Diamond League, or Diamond League, rather, and then they hit, like, a skill ceiling, right? So they realize, wait a second, these Diamond-level players, they don't die to my cheese anymore. What do I do? Because that's the only thing I can play, right? And MaxPax, while maybe he ran into that issue for a little bit, he's definitely established himself as a very formidable macro Protoss, and these days he doesn't really even seem to cheese that much anymore. But yeah, very impressive stuff from Max. Hope he can keep it up, and I hope he starts playing in offline tournaments as well, because, that'd be sick. Anyways, great scouting right here by ByuN. We saw him jumping up towards the main base a couple of times. He saw exactly what was happening here on the side of the Protoss. MaxPax once again opting to go for some quick Phoenixes. So apparently happy with the way that all of that went in game number 1. Probably just needs to tighten up the mid game a little bit more. Easier said than done, though, when you're going up against a guy who's pressing 10 buttons a second. Robo Facility as a follow-up. So Moondance is once again a map that has an in-base expo. This one, I guess, is a little bit safer than the one on Stargazers. I guess expanding in a direction of Medevacs, right? Where Medevacs drops could be coming from is a little bit scary. ByuN checks once again to see if there's additional Phoenix production. Maybe to see if there's like a second Stargate right next to that too. Phoenix is in the meantime on the other side of the map. There is a shield battery at the front, so honestly I'm not really too concerned about MaxPax's defense over here. He's finished up the Warp Gate research now too, so he's going to be able to get some additional reinforcements in. This is where Protoss is obviously really strong, right? You can defend quite a few of these early game pushes with like literally 5 units. Yeah, so despite the fact that MaxPax never took the pocket base on Stargazers, on Moondance, it looks like he wants to be grabbing it rather early. This is a pre-5-minute third Nexus here from Protoss. In the meantime, though, in the bottom right-hand corner, we see the same thing happening right now for ByuN. But ByuN is a bit more of a madman, right? He will build whatever he likes. He's like, okay, well, how many minerals do I have? How much gas? I want a Raven. Okay, I'm sure it's a little bit more specific than that, but it does kind of feel like ByuN can do a little bit of everything. All of the time. A little bit of everything. All of the time. Once again, Robo Bay as a follow-up. Free Cyclone? Nah. You probably thought about it, but there's too many Marines nearby. And once more, we have that Colossus as a follow-up. So, yeah, very similar openers this time around. I mean, obviously, minus the Proxy Barracks. It's going to be a reactor right here on that factory. That factory mostly now in charge of just building a bunch of add-ons. Kind of sad, I guess. There's a bunch of engineers specialized in putting together vehicles, and all they get to build is a bunch of reactors. Sometimes it'd be like that, I suppose. It is what it is. Yeah, so Stimpak coming up. Combat Shields coming up. We'll probably see... I was going to say, the double NG Bay upgrades very soon, so... Didn't realize he had them already built. The classic, right? So, ByuN likes to go double upgrades, apparently. We see most players opting to go for just a single upgrade, but... all of these upgrades will finish up right around the same time, and if you're, well, new to StarCraft 2, whenever, like, 4 upgrades finish at the same time, you hit a massive power spike. So it's a great idea to attack right around that time. Ooh. Nice hits right there on that that Raven. We need to see a repair. Yeah. Raven's very expensive. This is not thermal playing. If you haven't seen that cast yet, I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video. But there's a game that Thermal recently played where he literally made, I think, like 150 Ravens in one game. Pretty stupid stuff, but very, very fun game. Very enjoyable to watch for sure. Make sure to check it out after this one. Anyhow, Ravens are very expensive, okay? Even though we saw Mark just sort of giving them away at times, this is not the point in the game where you can really spare your save, where you can just give away a Raven. It's not something you can afford to give it away. Look at the poor Factory, dude. Factory just in charge of making as many add-ons as possible today. Yeah, a bit of a supply block here for Terran. We're already gonna go for a 5th Nexus as well. Can we see, oh, hello. Alright, interesting. Can we see at least a little bit of cheese in this series, Max? If you win this game, could you go for maybe like, you know, maybe the MaxPax opener? The problem with the MaxPax opener is that someone like ByuN is gonna be very, very familiar with it. The MaxPax opener is still a thing of beauty. I like it a lot because it makes no sense. Like, if you were to show it to someone in 2010, they would say, okay, huh? It's where you go pylon, gateway. And one of those pylons and the gateway are on the other side of the map. It's something that only makes sense in the meta of StarCraft 2. After everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing, then suddenly those build orders can, yeah, work out. Anyhow. 4 medevacs filled with units. A very greedy move here. There's still Phoenixes out, right? Yeah. ByuN did not fly by that pylon. Okay, I was gonna say, if those Phoenixes were to chase that down, he could be in some trouble. But it looks like MaxPax is playing a very safe game, actually. MaxPax not really taking a whole lot of chances. 4th base at this point is done. 2nd Robo coming up. 2nd Forge coming up as well. No Prism with this army, though, so no way to reinforce this. Maybe a couple of free Cyclones? Yeah. Phoenixes are thinking about it at the very least. They don't realize that there was a large Terran army split off from the rest of the pack. I've seen a bunch of free units so far here. Yeah, not bad at all. This is honestly a fantastic game here for MaxPax. Mostly because ByuN is making a couple of slip-ups. ByuN has lost a few units here and there. Like, if you don't have your Raven here, right? And you can't disable those Colossi, you might actually just be dead. Okay, that's maybe a little bit extreme. I don't think ByuN is going to lose this game right here, right now, but he's definitely in a bad spot. He's going up against 4 base Protoss, right? He's only on 3 base himself. Income advantage, look at that. Heavily in favor here of the young Danish player. MaxPax doesn't really need to be aggressive, but as long as he's posturing out here, he is slowly suffocating his opponent. So, 4th Command Center is going to land. Wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see a 5th Nexus here very soon. There are Colossi. Oh, sorry. Well, there are Colossi as well. But there are going to be Ghosts. Ghosts can definitely change the tide of battle with their EMP ability. Once again, a bunch of units here coming in from the left. Disconnected from the main army, it seems. Although maybe that was intentional. There are some Disruptors available too here for the Protoss player. Almost a disaster for ByuN. Looks like he's going to try and snipe it. Okay, good dodging once again. This is MaxPax trying to retreat from this awkward engagement. At the same time, the Prism has gone towards the bottom right-hand corner, and Zealots are harassing SCVs left, right, and center. That's the point at which this Protoss army once again goes on the offense. Yeah, those Zealots don't really need to be microed very much, right? So it's a relatively low APM intensive task here for MaxPax to send a couple units over there. But in order for ByuN to deal with that, he actually needs to micro his army. Goes right here in the front. Not where you want to have him. Another couple of Ghosts over here as well get sniped. There are some pretty decent EMPs going down, but there's just not enough stuff. MaxPax absolutely dominates in game number 2. Okay. Our final game for today, it takes place on Inside and Out. Are we gonna go for any proxies? I don't think so. Nope. Judging by the lack of movement there on the minimap, I don't think we're gonna go for any kind of proxy shenanigans right here on Inside It Out. Honestly, that game on Moondance, it's a classic example of I've lost a couple units here and there, and now I don't have enough stuff, right? It happens to the best players. Especially losing that Raven in the earlier stages of that game really sucked. I think what ByuN did is he just attack moved with, like, his entire army. He probably, like, I don't know, had, like, a hotkey or whatever, but it almost looked like he used the whole army hotkey and then attack moved behind the Protoss. And what happens at that point is that the Medivacs, as well as, well, Ravens, right, units that don't have an auto attack, would just sort of fly over in that direction that you attack move to. Turns out Phoenixes, when they're on the hunt, they can take down those units very quickly, and then suddenly the game becomes very hard because you can't really keep the Colossi at bay. Obviously, you can remake the Raven, but at that point, you know, the big shuffle of all of the add-ons had already happened, and yeah. ByuN ended up slowly losing a couple units here and there. So he's gonna have to tighten things up right here in the final match for today. Inside and Out. It's, of course, the map with the burning building over here. The map used to be called Frost Giant, but they changed the nickname. This map still kind of bothers me in the sense that we have, like, what is it? Like a, maybe like a 6-meter tall cliff, and then lava underneath, and somehow, like, ice on top? I mean, I get that it's technically possible, but anyhow, even in these extreme temperatures, though, life still finds a way, right? Isn't that beautiful? We have trees and stuff growing all over the map. These are a very special type of tree. Very hardy, that's for sure. Anyways, double gas opener once again from ByuN, so he's going to opt to go for that very quick factory. It'll, of course, delay the command center, but with the way that ByuN, of course, likes to play, he will be more than happy to get a couple of those units out in the earlier stages of the game and start microing them. He's looking around the map. Knowing very well that there's always a chance that MaxPax is at the very least going to proxy you once in a series. Second Reaper coming up. Okay. Yeah, looks like none of that is happening. Super standard games here from Max. If you would have told me that this is a European Protoss player, I probably would have guessed someone like Showtime. MaxPax is actually, he's higher ranked right now than Showtime, according to Aligalek. Which, I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but yeah, pretty cool. Once again, going for the Stargate opener. It's almost getting a little bit boring, huh? Seeing the same thing 3 times in a row. Is he gonna go Phoenixes again, too? Okay, first Hellion already here. Yep, it's once again gonna be Phoenixes. Okay, so this is MaxPax's new standard. I mean, to be fair, it's one of those I'm not gonna lose to anything assuming I micro correctly type of openers. That assumption is a rather big one. When you see me playing Protoss, I will definitely be, you know, fat fingering my hotkeys and things look a little bit clumsy, but you can take a variation of this build and, yeah, assuming you micro it well, you should be able to stay alive relatively easily. So this is once again a build where MaxPax is going to get himself he's going to get himself a bunch of those Phoenixes out, and the Phoenixes are going to keep the Terran player pinned back. This is ByuN we're talking about, so there's always a chance he's going to be, well, still sending those units across. Going for multiple Cyclones. Yep, there we go. He's thinking about it anyways. Why put my units in the main base when I can put them outside of the main base? Lock on? No lock on. Very quick third Nexus this time around. Decided to go for these gateways over here at the front now as well. Creating a bit of a wall off. Always nice. Ooh. Looks like we had a bit of a pause. Okay, sorry. Ready. Go, go. 3, 2, 1. All right. That moment when ByuN pauses the game. You wonder if it's because of his wrist or not. Good defense right there from ByuN though. Keep in mind, and this is easily forgotten, Phoenixes have a limited amount of energy. They need energy in order to actually do the Graviton Lift. They're spellcasters, okay? These are flying magicians. Lock on the probe, maybe not ideal, but I don't think ByuN is really going to be able to continue pushing here. Going for the single NG bay this time around. Going double tech lab as well, so he'll be able to go for stim pack and combat shields. Yep. And now is that time where we wait until those upgrades are done, right? Now is the time when Protoss really can start roaming the map if they want to. So what's the follow-up going to be from MaxPax? Not going for the Colossi, it seems. Instead, he's adding on additional gateways, and he's gone for a very quick charge. So this is him going only 2 gas geysers. So only the 2 gases in the main base. And now mass gateway. Maybe he spotted a vulnerability in the build order that ByuN has been playing in this series as well. He's like, wait a second. If you're gonna give me my free economical advantage just like that, I will try and see if I can potentially just close out the game if you decide to get a little bit cheeky. If he wants to, ByuN can... Or sorry, MaxPax can definitely push before ByuN finishes up all of those upgrades. He hasn't even started up the combat shields yet. ByuN, you really need to start up combat shields, my man. Alright, there it is. So combat shields is a faster upgrade than stim pack, so you don't have to start it up right at the same time if you want to finish it up at the same time, but... Pylons are being sprinkled around the map. How many gateways do we have? We have 2 more coming up. 7 are already done, so we're going 9 gateways. He's even chrono boosting out one of his warp gates right now. Not entirely sure where we're going to be warping in from, though. If we're going to go for a proxy pylon, should we not be building it, you know, in a location where we can use it as a warping spot? Ten gateways total. All right. Max is playing very conservatively these days. It's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, look at that. So he sets himself up for an opportunity to go for a big attack, and then he's still not convinced that it's a great idea. And it makes sense. He hasn't seen the Terran player trying to take a third. I honestly think that charging into the 2-base wall over here, especially when it seems to be a 2-base all-in from Terran, not a great idea. So the fact that he's not committing too much is, well, obviously the right call here, because he has that economical advantage, but I think MaxPax of like a year or 2 ago definitely would have charged up that ramp. This shows a lot of maturity in this playstyle. He needs to be very cautious, though, because this is one hell of a Terran army. He just decided to go for another Nexus. I wonder if there's a bit of a disconnect over here. Maybe he misreads this. This is a 2-base Terran all-in. Yeah, this is not the time to actually send Zealots to watch the other side of the MaxPax. MapPax. No, not quite. He really needs all the units he can get at home. That Wolof over there is going to be absolutely killer. I love those shield batteries here on the low ground as well. That's going to be... Oh my god. That's going to be dealing a bunch of damage. At the same time, the Terran just marched straight into the natural expansion of MaxPax. I think Max had all of the tools at his disposal to actually defend against this, but he misread what the Terran player was doing, and there's a very good chance that that is because of the previous games that we saw. Now the natural expansion is in a lot of trouble. Probes are already gone. 24 of them just fell, and even though MaxPax has a lot of reinforcements available and he can warp in out of 10 gateways, he doesn't have the money to go ahead and do so, and it's ByuN who obtains the victory in this best-of-3 series, 2-1.